Hey guys, this is Ganesh. Welcome back to Ganesh Jadhav Automation Studio. So today we are going to learn what is meant by the constructor in Java, how we can define what is the main purpose of the constructor, how exactly we can use this constructor in our Java. So all these terms we are going to learn. So what is the constructor in Java exactly? So it is a special type of method which is used to initialize the object. So this is same kind of method and we are using this constructor for initializing the object. A constructor is a block of code like the method. Your constructor is similar kind like your block of code like the method. A Java constructor cannot be abstract, static, final, and synchronized. It means, guys, you cannot able to define your Java constructor like abstract, final, and synchronized. So this is meant by the constructor, guys. So mainly constructor we are using for initializing the object or initializing the variable. Now here you can see how we can define the constructor in Java. Exactly how we can define the constructor in Java. So constructor name must be same as its class name. So whenever we are defining any constructor, whatever class name we have, we must need to give that class name to our constructor. Okay. And second point is a constructor must have no explicit return type. It means, guys, whenever we are defining constructor in Java, that constructor never ever have any return type. Now let me show you. Let me create one of the class like uh, constructor constructor example constructor example. This class I'm going to create over here. Now here I'm writing down my main method and I want to define the constructor. So here you can see this is how we can define the constructor in Java. Constructor name is the same as your class name. It is similar kind of your method which has some of the statement. So here this is the block of statement also available. So this is how we can define our constructor. Your constructor never ever have any return type, guys. So this is how we can define the constructor in Java. Now is there any type for the constructor in Java? Yes, definitely we have the type of the constructor in Java. Like there are mainly two types available of your constructor in Java. First one is default constructor and second one is parameterized constructor. These two type of the constructor available in Java. Now what is meant by the default constructor? What is the use of the default constructor in Java? That term also we are going to learn. Now what is meant by the default constructor? A constructor is called default constructor when it doesn't have any parameter. So whenever we are defining constructor here and that constructor doesn't have any parameter, we are calling it as a default constructor. Okay, now what is the main use of this default constructor? The default constructor is used to provide the default value to the object like 0, null, depending on the data type. Now what is the meaning of this sentence, guys? Like suppose if I have the variable integer a or a string s, these two variable I declare over here, I haven't initialized any value over here. Now guys, if I wanted to access this variable, so what exactly I need to do? First of all, I must need to create an object of this class because of both are the instance variable. So here you can see is equal to new constructor semicolon, and here I can use this object dot a, and both the variable I'm going to print over here s. Okay, now if now I'm running this program, you can see I haven't initialized any value to this data type, but your Java compiler by default assign the value to this by default assigning to value to this variable. How, guys? With the help of the default constructor, your Java compiler assigning the value to this variable, and it's completely depend on what kind of data you will have. Now here you can see 0 and null value, it is by default assigned to your this variable. Now another interesting term I would like to tell you, guys, if you are not defining any default constructor in your class, in your this class, your Java compiler by default adding this default constructor to the in the class. Why? Because of if in case you are defining, if you are declaring any blank variable, any blank data type, then your Java compiler assigning the by default values to them. That is why default constructor mainly we are using. Okay, now what is the another type? The another type is parameterized constructor. What is meant by the parameterized constructor in Java? A constructor which has a specific number of parameter is called a parameterized constructor. What does it mean, guys? So whenever we have some of the parameter into where, guys, into the constructor, that time we are using the parameter, that constructor we are calling it as a parameterized constructor. Your parameterized constructor is also same as your class name. Okay, and here you can pass the value integer b comma integer c. This value I'm taking over here, and here you can see SOUAT b comma b plus c value I'm going to print over here. So this is the two value I'm just passing over here. Okay, this is what we are calling, this is your parameterized constructor. Okay, a parameterized constructor is used to provide the different value to the distinct object. So what does it mean, guys? So your parameters constructor basically used for what, guys? Providing the different value to the distinct object. So whenever objects want to different value, that time we are using the parameters constructor. So how we can call the parameters constructor, guys? So here you can see same. I'm just creating an object of my class. Constructor example 1 is equal to new constructor example, and here I need to pass the value. So this is how we can call, this is how exactly we can call the your parameters constructor. Now here you can see same, like if you have the multiple class object, here you can see constructor 2 is equal to new constructor example, and here I'm passing the different value. Okay, so this is how exactly I am using. Now here I must need to use the proper constructor, and if I'm running my program, you can see different objects I'm creating, and for all these different object, different value will get assigned over here. So on the first and on this first statement, you can see 30 will get printed, and on the second statement, like this, on this third statement, your around 150 value will get printed. This is how we can define the parameterized constructor in Java. Okay, even you can provide the same value as well, like if you wanted to provide the same value, so you can also provide the same value. This is the beauty of the parameterized constructor. So if you are, if you want the different value to the distinct object means these are your distinct object. So if your distinct object wants to different value, then you can use the parameterized constructor over there. So this is meant by the parameterized constructor available in the Java, guys. Now apart from it, can we assign any private access modifier to this constructor? Yes, definitely we can assign the private access modifier. The rules are same, like if you are not defining any access modifier here, then these are the default access modifier we have. Now can we assign the private access modifier to here? Definitely you can assign the private access modifier as well to the your parameterized constructor as well as the default constructor. So 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 what is meant by the private constructor exactly? We are assigning the private access modifier to the constructor, but what exactly impact happened to that constructor? So if we can declare a constructor private by using the private access modifier, we are calling it at those constructor are the private constructor. Now, second point is, if a constructor is declared private, we are not able to create an object of that constructor. What does it mean, guys? It means if we are defining any constructor as a private, you cannot able to create an object of this class outside of this current class. You can definitely able to create an object of this private of this class inside the class, but outside of the class you cannot able to create. Let me show you the example as well. Let me create another class for you guys. Like here I'm creating the test class over here, and here I'm writing down the main method, and here you can see I'm trying to create the constructor example, and I mean to say I'm trying to create an object over here. This is for default constructor object I'm trying to create, and this is for what, guys? uh, 1 2, this is for parameterized constructor object I'm trying to create. You can see we will get a compile time error because of here you are applying the restriction. Here we are applying the restriction over here, that is why you cannot able to create an object of the private constructor. Like here you can see, if I'm removing here private access modifier, quickly all compilation error will gone, and you can able to successfully create the object of the private, I mean to say, of the class. So this is the term we have for the private access modifier. Now, if a class has a private constructor, and when we try to extend the class, a compile time error we will get. What is the meaning of these terms, guys? Like whenever we are trying to inherit this private constructor class, you cannot able to inherit. What does it mean? Now here you can see this is the test class we have, and what exactly we are trying to do, guys? We are trying to extend this class. So is a relationship we are trying to do. And here you can see, if I'm trying to do, we will get a compile time error because of this constructor. So this is your parent class, and this is your child class. This is a relationship. If I'm trying to do extend this constructor example class, I cannot able to perform because of this constructor have the private this class have the private constructor. If I'm removing this term, all compile time error will gone. So this is the main use of the private constructor. The overall scenario about the private constructor: if you are defining any private constructor, you cannot able to create an object of that class outside of that current class. Okay, this is the main term I would like to tell you. And last term, if all the method are static in your class, then you can use the private constructor. What does it means, guys? Like whenever, like in your class, suppose in our class all the methods are static. So static means, guys, if you wanted to access the static method, we don't need to create an object of that static method. I told you this kind of static keyword scenario in my last video. You can watch it if you don't have any idea. So if we have all static method in my class, you can directly define that constructor as a private, because of why. If you wanted to call those static method, you don't need to create an object of if you don't need to create an object of that class. Now here you can say I'm defining one of the static method for your understanding. Like here I must need to define the static keyword void static method we have. Okay, SOUAT, and here you can see static method. And if I wanted to access this static method outside of the class, I just need to use what, guys? I just need to use uh, class name dot method name. So here you can see you can directly access. You don't need to create an object over there. And here, anyways, if you are defining the private constructor, then still it is not impacted on the program. So this is the main uses of the constructor in Java. These are the rules we have for the constructor in Java. Hope this video is really helpful for you guys. Please do like and subscribe if you really like. Thanks for